Word going around that Keith Thurman is struggling to get through his workouts. Before we get into this next video, hit my like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subbed to the channel. Hit my like button and sub to the channel. So yeah, word going around that Keith Thurman is struggling to get through his strength and conditioning workouts. Now, Keith Thurman has a fight coming up with Mario Barrios the top of the year. It's supposed to be kind of a tune-up fight to get Keith Thurman back on track, but I don't even know what it's going to be because we haven't seen Keith Thurman in a ring in a long time. Matter of fact, Keith Thurman has only had about 2 fights in 5 years. You know, that is not good for a fighter that was once on the caliber where Keith Thurman was. Keith Thurman was looked at as the best welterweight in the world for a long time, you know. And then, of course, he had that whole thing that went on with Errol Spence. But we will get into that later on in this video. But, you know, so Keith Thurman's strength and conditioning coach, he came out and he was basically talking about why Keith Thurman hadn't been in the ring. He was asking a question, you know, how come it's taking so long for Keith Thurman to get in the ring? His answer was, you know, I can't really tell you that, but I think that Keith Thurman is not focused. Keith Thurman needs to be focused, you know. We try to do his strength and conditioning workouts after his boxing workouts or whatnot, and he can't get through his strength and conditioning program, right? He's struggling to get through. He stops early. He don't get through the whole workout and all of that. And that's not a good look, you know, when one of your own coaches is saying that, hey, man, this dude is not focused. Like he's not where he used to be. He's not the same Keith Thurman. And I think, you know, a lot of people was pretty much thinking that, but to hear, you know, a coach say that, it's on a whole different level. It's on a whole different level. And Keith Thurman, if he ever want to get anywhere near to back to the fighter that he was, he needs to change a lot and he needs to get focused. Ever since Keith Thurman got married, we haven't seen the same Keith Thurman. He's had injury after injury, and then when he heals from the injuries, it looks like that he still won't come back. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You know, he'll make a video, he'll pop up every 6 to 8 months, and he'll say that, oh, he's getting back into it, he's training, and then we don't see him again. And then when we do see him again, he's gained a ton of weight. He's walking around 195, 200 plus pounds. And the man fights at 147. So I don't really know what's going on with Keith Thurman. Like I said, he got this fight coming up with Mario Barrios at the top of the year, top of next year. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Keith Thurman is looking like. We know that Keith Thurman spoke on being injured going into the Manny Pacquiao fight, but he said, you know, the reason that he took the Manny Pacquiao fight, knowing that he was injured already, is because it was Manny Pacquiao. He felt that Manny Pacquiao was food. He felt that even with the injury that he had, that he would still be able to beat Manny Pacquiao because of Manny Pacquiao's age and size. And some could say that he underestimated Manny Pacquiao. Matter of fact, he did underestimate Manny Pacquiao. And when he stepped in the ring with Manny Pacquiao, he got a rude awakening. You know, and Keith Thurman hasn't been in the ring since then, and that was way back in June of 2019. We already going into 2022. So yeah, Keith Thurman, he's had two plus year layoffs, and he's just been inactive, and it's looked like that is the downfall of Keith Thurman's career. You know, and then him trying to come back and get back into shape and do what he used to do, and he can't get through his training. That says a lot, you know. Don't be surprised if Mario Barrios go in there and beat Keith Thurman. We have no idea how Keith Thurman is going to look. We seen when the last time when Keith Thurman came back, he jumped in the ring with Josecito Lopez, and he barely made it out of that fight. You know what I'm saying? Josecito Lopez was inches away from stopping Keith Thurman. You know, he barely made it out of that fight. He was able to survive and come out with the victory, but we seen what happened in that fight. Now, this whole thing with Keith Thurman, you know, turned ugly when people start putting that jacket on him, you know, saying that he was ducking Errol Spence. And truthfully, Keith Thurman never ducked Errol Spence. See, what most people do is they like to go with the popular narrative that's going around the sport. If one person said, then the next person said, and then a video's made about it, and then another video, and then all of a sudden, that's the narrative that's going around, and that's the fact, when it's really not a fact. And let me explain to y'all what really happened with the Errol Spence situation, for those who actually really want to know facts. Well, I'm not talking to the ones that just hard-headed and just gonna run with narratives just because they don't like a person. And these are the facts behind why Keith Thurman and Errol Spence never fought. Keith Thurman, at the point in time when Errol Spence was on the come up, Keith Thurman was on the come up and he was grabbing belts. Now, let me go down the timeline for y'all. In 2016, right? Matter of fact, in June of 2016, Keith Thurman fought Sean Porter for the WBA strap. Keith Thurman beat Sean Porter. Errol Spence still didn't have a strap at that point in time. Errol Spence was still on the come up at that point in time. So Keith Thurman, he grabbed his first strap from Sean Porter. Him and Sean Porter fought for the WBA strap. Bam, he got that strap. Sean Porter at the time had a much bigger name than Errol Spence because Sean Porter had already been a champion. Remember, Sean Porter had already had the IBF title, which he had lost to Kell Brook. So Keith Thurman and Sean Porter was a big fight at that point in time, and they was able to fight for a WBA strap. Now, 2 months down the line, Errol Spence got his first step-up fight. Errol Spence was barely just still getting his first step-up fight, and that was against Chris Algieri, and that was 2 months after Sean Porter and Keith Thurman fought for the WBA strap. So Errol Spence, what he did to Chris Algieri? He walked through Chris Algieri like nobody had ever done before. Now, moving down the line, then Keith Thurman, he basically set out a whole year, right? At this time, Errol Spence still don't have a strap. Errol Spence is basically, he's sitting out at the same time, right? In 2017, and Errol Spence is waiting for Kell Brook. Keith Thurman is sitting around waiting for Danny Garcia, who is the WBC champion. Keith Thurman finally gets unification match with Danny Garcia in March of 2017. Keith Thurman beats Danny Garcia. During the Danny Garcia fight, somewhere along the Danny Garcia fight, Keith Thurman suffers a bad elbow injury, and he's out. He's out of the sport. Moving along, Errol Spence didn't get his first strap. He didn't fight for his first title. He didn't get his first strap until May of 2017, right? 2 months after Keith Thurman had already beat Danny Garcia for the WBC strap, and Keith Thurman was sitting on the shelf by this time with an elbow injury, right? Awaiting elbow surgery. So Errol Spence, in May of 2017, he went and he overseas and he beat Kell Brook for the IBF strap. Now Errol Spence has the strap, right? Now it makes sense for Errol Spence and Keith Thurman to fight for 3 straps. But it's only one problem. Keith Thurman is out of the sport, injured at that point in time. Keith Thurman goes on to sit out for 2 years, right? When Keith Thurman was basically saying that he was getting ready to come back, Keith Thurman didn't duck Errol Spence. He told Errol Spence and he told the world, I'm not fighting Errol Spence. I respect Errol Spence. I think that Errol Spence is the best welterweight in the world next to me. And I'm not fighting Errol Spence coming off an injury, right? What I will do is I will have a get back year. This is going to be a get back year. I want a couple get back fights, and then I'll get in the ring with Errol Spence and we'll have the biggest fight in boxing. That's what Keith Thurman, he told everybody exactly what he was going to do. He didn't duck Errol Spence. It's no way that he could have ducked Errol Spence when he was out of the sport. He wasn't fighting for 2 years. When Errol Spence and the fans and everybody was calling out Keith Thurman, right? He was injured. And then when he came back, he said, look, I'm not going to fight this man coming off an injury. And I respect that because he's just telling people that I can't fight Errol Spence coming straight off an injury because I think that he's that good. So I'm not going to disrespect him and get in the ring with him, not fully 100% myself. So Keith Thurman, he came back and he fought Josecito Lopez, and I believe that was in February of 2019, right? He said it was a get back year. He fought Josecito Lopez. He barely got through the Josecito Lopez fight. So after the Josecito Lopez, he could have went back on his word and he could have fought Errol Spence, right? That's what a lot of people saying, right? He could have fought Errol Spence then. But Manny Pacquiao came about, right? Now, nobody at that point, especially at that point in time, nobody was going to turn down a Manny Pacquiao fight to fight Errol Spence. Errol Spence, he didn't turn down a Manny Pacquiao fight to fight Ugas. So you can't expect Keith Thurman to turn down a legend, the biggest name in the sport, right, at that time, in order to fight Errol Spence, who is an up-and-coming star in the sport. He didn't have a name like a Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence at the time, he was actually trying to, search for a Manny Pacquiao fight himself. So anyway, Keith Thurman, he got the Manny Pacquiao fight. Now, he already explained that he was injured during the Manny Pacquiao fight. He got the Manny Pacquiao fight, he lost. After the Manny Pacquiao fight, Keith Thurman still hasn't been in the ring to this day. He had a horrific hand injury that he had, to have surgery on going into the Manny Pacquiao fight. I believe that he messed it up even more in the Manny Pacquiao fight, and he still hasn't been in the ring. So if you go down the timeline and you want to be right, if you want to be straight up down and truthful about the situation, it was really no time where he could have just went and fought Errol Spence where it made sense. It didn't make sense, right, for him to turn down championship opportunities with a Sean Porter or with a Danny Garcia and go fight Errol Spence that didn't have a belt at the time. It just didn't make no sense. Now, we come full circle. Errol Spence is in the same predicament. We got a lot of fans screaming for Errol Spence to go fight Jaron Boots Ennis, who has no belt. And I'm saying the same thing. It doesn't make sense for Errol Spence to look over the big fight that he has with Terrence Crawford, right, to go and fight a Jaron Boots Ennis. It's the same situation that Keith Thurman was in. So we need to stop running with narratives just because it's the popular thing that everybody is saying. And we need to look at the facts behind what's really going on. But that was Keith Thurman's glory days. Will Keith Thurman ever get back to that? Hey, it's a long shot. It's a long shot. I don't know if Keith Thurman can ever get back to that Keith Thurman that we seen fight Sean Porter and Danny Garcia and Luis Collazo and so on and so on. But anyway, that's my video. Make sure that you drop a comment in the comment section and let me know what y'all think about this video. And hit my like button and sub to the channel if you're not already a subscriber to the channel. Y'all already know how I do. There you go, talking that boxing again. Until next time, I'm gone.